Next thing I think is important that we do is we look at divisions. So you go to the Recruit and Deploy tab, which is the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see at the very top, you've got that infantry division, right? Click Edit on it.
Is it the Strelkovaya division?
Yes, that
Right.
one. Yes, that one. The other one that's in there is the is what you would call a reserve unit.
Mhm.
It just doesn't. It's like, okay, let me just explain this to you. So you see, like, if you exit out of that quickly, just you see like they've got those
Red line.
red arrows pointing down. So they are like a reserve unit. They don't get supplied as much. They're also a smaller unit. They've only got they're also a smaller unit. And then if you click, and then if they have like those arrows, those slightly like orangey color arrows that are pointing up, they are like they are like an elite unit that will. All that does is gives them preference for supply. So if they don't have that, they're just a normal unit. There's no supply. So go back into the edit tab of the main unit there that we have.
Done that.
So now you see you've got all these like infantry division people there. Like there should be like 3. There should be like 12 of them at least, and then you go to the right of that. You've got like base stats, combat stats, and equipment cost.
Mm-hmm.
Now, base stats, I don't really worry about it too much. I'd say definitely just look at the only thing you really need to worry about there is organization, which is really important. And if it regards to tanks or like vehicles or anything like that, reliability and weight are also really important. If it's stuff like that. And also max speed, because if you want a light tank unit that travels at 1 kilometer an hour, it's not very effective. You would want a light tank unit to travel a bit faster than that. However, if you got a super heavy tank unit, 1 kilometer is fine. So you see that. And then you go to combat stats, and then you've got like soft attack and hard attack, and air attack, defense, breakthrough, armor, piercing, initiative, entrenchment, equipment, capture ratio, and combat width. Those things are all very important. Now, soft attack is quite important early game, and hard attack less so. But late game, hard attack is much more important later game than it is early game. Now, the things that give you soft attack are infantry divisions, artillery, and I don't know what else. Basically, like infantry divisions and artillery are the two main things that I use. That give you soft attack. Things that give you hard attack, are anti-tank, is anti-tank artillery and like tanks and stuff like that. Right?
Okay.
Makes sense? So in a tank division, if you go exit out of that and you go to the tank division, you will see that they are light tanks, so they give you more soft attack than they do hard attack, but a super heavy tank would give you more hard attack than they give you soft attack. Let's go back into like the infantry division in a second and hover over any one of like the helmets. You'll see what a single unit like gives you, right? So a single unit of that gives you plus 22 defense, plus 3 breakthrough, plus 6 soft attack, plus 1 hard attack, plus 0.07 supply use, which is red because it's bad, and suppression plus 1, and organization plus 0.6, HP plus 25, weight plus 0.5, production cost plus 50, combat width plus 2. Now, combat width is a very important thing to keep in mind of, and then equipment, which is for an infantry division, is just rifle plus 100, and for manpower is 1,000 per division. So it's quite important, this kind of stuff. So this will basically tell you, like, especially if in this one you would look at if you need more breakthrough. If you need more breakthrough, which is its ability, tanks generally give a lot more breakthrough than an infantry division does. And breakthrough just allows you, if you're at a stalemate, it allows you to break that line and push the troops back a bit. That's what it does. An infantry division's defense is generally better than a tank or a motorized infantry. It's the very good defense. an infantry division's defense is very good. Air attack, obviously anti-air will give you air attack in this kind of unit. It's not, you don't, now anti-air for me personally, it's not the most important thing unless you cannot compete with the amount of production rate the other country has that can have in plain production. Now, because we're playing the Soviet Union, we can generally, at some point, we can have so many factories in this game, it doesn't matter. Right?
Okay.
Now, armor piercing is obviously just the ability to... Now, armor and armor piercing does like anti-tank gives you more armor piercing, artillery gives you more armor piercing. It's just the ability to be able to fight tanks. Its ability to fight tanks, and armor is given to you by... is your ability to like... is just like tanks and mechanized infantry and stuff like that. So right now considering it's early game, we don't have enough army experience yet to be able to edit this division, but we will want to do that later on. Now, tanks in this game, at the moment, tanks are really overpowered. Mm-hmm. Well, a certain kind of tank is really overpowered. So if you go into your research slot and you go to look at the tanks, right? Go find like the A-32 medium tank, which is the first medium tank the Soviets can build.
A-32. Okay, there we go, yeah.
So if you say now were like a really good player and like knew what you were doing, which you will know after this, hopefully. You can, I was playing Soviet Union, you were playing as Germany, you would want to rush me as quickly as possible. I would want to rush the Great Purge as quickly as possible, and then as soon as the Great Purge is done, you would want to rush me as quickly as possible because of how weak I become after that. The thing I would really want to rush as Russia is to get to the T-34 tank, which is just below the A-32, but the A-32 is just as good, in my opinion. Now medium tanks are just really good. Heavy tanks, in my opinion, not as great as like what you'd expect. And a T-54 is a modern tank. That's like something you should want to get by endgame, I would say. And then you got to set aside factories, and I would say you got to get these into units. Now, there's two ways of doing that. So if you go back to the recruit and deploy tab, you go click edit on the tank division.
Yep.
Now, this division has just light tanks in it and motorized infantry. This is generally good, by the way. It doesn't have the right amount of combat width. I've just realized I forgot to tell you about that. Now, generally, a lot of people say, there's a lot of debate about this, but a lot of people say for a single division, you should rather want to aim for about 20 combat width, or 24, or 22 than 24, something along those lines. Now, so you can do that. That's just a good. So I'd say always try and aim for like, especially early game, trying to aim for 20 combat width at the most. And like at the least 20 combat width, and at the most 20 combat width. Just trying to keep it around there. If you need to go a little bit over, but right now this division is quite good. If we were building this from scratch, I would not organize it in this kind of way. Because if you look at it, it's the way that you have it is like, I believe it's, I can't remember now. It's from right to left is the order that they would attack in, right? So at front we've got the motorized infantry, and then we have the tank lines at the back, and then you have the support equipment at the back. Now, when you put artillery into your infantry divisions, never put them at the front. Try and put them towards the back, if possible. Okay.
So the further the right, the more.
Yeah.
The more it starts front lines.
Yes. So the far right is the front.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a bit weird. It's like a thing because like it's a bit weird. I don't know. I don't get it. At least that's generally my understanding of it, because when I played the game very early, and I used to put artillery at the front line area. I don't know if this is true or not. I could be making this up. If I am, I apologize. Someone tell me in the comments, please. But my artillery used to get like damaged, and I used to run into deficits with artillery just quite a lot.
Alright.
Now, with divisions, as time goes on, you'll earn more army experience. Now, if your division reaches, like, let's say 20 combat width, and it's the right kind of size that you would want, and it's got everything you need, you've got these adjusters just below, like, the stats, right? So those would basically just tell you you can like try and increase them a bit if you want. So just basically, so it tells you like the stats that they would have at the thing on like different kinds of terrain. So if you go to the forest and you hover over the little sword, which is like the top left hand kind, so side. So it says minus 15.5%. So tanks not very good at fighting in the forest. Now there are ways to increase that. Now these adjusters just tell you like what you're aiming for, and also you see that little tank to the and the helmet to like just above that. That's their hardness. So that's basically the ratio of armor to you know where the adjusters are, just above that, but below the stats, you've got that little tank and that little helmet. Okay. So that's its hardness. So its hardness is currently 48%. That's its ratio of soft attack to hard attack. So right now it's leaning towards soft attack more than hard attack, which is fine for now. It's early game. Now, so remember that. And with tanks, you wouldn't want to slow them, especially with a light tank division. You wouldn't want to, for example, put towed artillery, which are meant for infantry divisions, in a light tank division. What you would rather want is you would want like the motorized artillery, which you can actually research.